Okay, hello everyone and welcome back to Injustice 2. In this Injustice 2 video, I'm going to be covering what I think are some of the underrated characters in the game. Now, bear in mind regarding the gameplay, I do not play some of these characters, so excuse me if the gameplay is shitty. I'm just kind of messing around with training mode and these characters. But I do feel like these characters are worth talking about because I think they are super underrated. And bear in mind, underrated doesn't mean that they are bad. In fact, it means that they're pretty damn good. Now, none of these characters are like top tier, but I don't know why not many people play more of these characters because they certainly have everything that makes a good Injustice 2 character. And I'm talking about online and kind of tournaments as well. Although the trend seems to be that a lot of online people kind of mimic what people in tournaments do in terms of what characters they pick. But that's something else. I'm not going to go too deep into that. The first character we're going to be covering in this video is our girl Harley Quinn. Now, this character was very popular when the game first came out. In fact, I think I remember a point where she was the most played character in the game. And I don't know what happened. Why did people suddenly abandon this character? She still has everything that makes a good Injustice 2 character. She in fact has not gotten any major changes as far as I know. Now, first of all, this character has insane movement. Like, look at those dashes, they are ridiculous. Combined with the fact that this character actually has very, very good zoning. These gunshots can just be kind of looped like this, and they are very fast. There is no visible projectile on screen, so ducking them is actually fairly difficult. She can also do an anti-air one, of course an air one, which actually hits overhead. On top of that, she has the cherry bomb, I think this is called, or cherry cake. The meter burn version of this is pretty damn insane. She also has this projectile, which doesn't really have that many uses in terms of zoning, but can be used to make some of her launching strings safe. Speaking of launching strings, this character has very good overheads and lows. Bear in mind, I think one of her weaknesses is her mids. This is really the only good mid I think she has. But this one is very good. It travels forward. It is special cancelable. It can be used to set up the dogs, which we'll talk about. And yeah, other than that, she does have very good strings in the corner and also overheads and lows. In fact, this is a very good low because it has like this, because she uses her gun, it has like this disjointed hitbox where it actually hits from very far away. That's a very far hitting low. And of course, she can go into a full combo. Excuse my combos. I think this is one of her BMBs as far as I know, if I hit it. And then you call out the dog. Speaking of that, her main combo ender can be used to set up the dog, which actually gives you very good pressure because speaking of these dogs, they are very much like, I would say Cyborg's drones probably come the closest, the Roombas. Once this thing is out on the screen, the dog is out, it's out. There's just no way around it. And they actually recharge fairly quickly. And they can be used to counter zone. If you're getting zoned out, you can just chuck one of these if you're quick enough. And again, once the dog is out, it is out. And your opponent is going to be forced to respect it. Plus, again, it can be used at the end of strings for setups, and then you can go into overhead guns, you can go into tantrum stance or whatever. Speaking of tantrum stance, she can link them from down ones, which is actually fairly ridiculous. She has some ambiguous kind of, not real mix-ups, but kind of mix-ups if she decides to roll. Not that roll, but if she decides to do this roll. A lot of people don't know how to deal with that, and finally, the fact that Tantrum Stance can actually very easily be hit confirmed and made safe is kind of insane. So overall, again, I don't know what happened. This character was so popular and she's still incredibly good. Overheads and lows, haven't even mentioned this character's corner game. Harley has insane corner game, mainly because of this. First of all, this string can be looped a lot of times. Second of all, she can end in this, and the normal throw is a restand. but the EX throw is actually very, very plus. It gives you chip damage. So basically whatever you do after this, your opponent is going to be at a disadvantage because they're going to be taking unblockable damage. You can go into a combo and kind of loop everything. It's pretty insane. I think this character is really good, and I think probably out of the 3 characters I'm going to be talking about today, probably the best. I really feel like one day somebody's gonna like whip out an insane Harley and just like beat everyone. Alright, next up is my girl Starfire. I think this character is simply underexplored. One of the reasons I think is that she's a zoner, and the last thing people wanted when she came out was another zoner, so no one really plays her, but I think she's probably the closest this game has come to having Kitana in the game. First of all, you gotta mention, her zoning is very good. This is a fast projectile, it has a good hitbox if you see how large the projectile itself is. This is very good because just like many of these other things, like Harley's dogs and things like that, once this is out, this is out. The disadvantage is it deals very low damage, however the frame data on it is very good. You can go into a lot of things after that. And again, like even if you're trying to zone out Starfire, once she gets this on the screen, you are gonna be forced to respect it. Now, she doesn't have that many good mix-ups. Pretty much her only mix-up is this, and if she goes into the string, which this string is pretty godlike. I don't care if it starts off high, this is a good string. It can also go into full combos, but she can very easily do something like this. This character doesn't have traditional bounce cancels. She cannot really get them, but what a sample combo would look like with her is probably something like this. That still deals really good damage. Not to mention her air control is very solid, not even because of the projectile or this, which this can actually catch people off guard pretty well. Mainly because people only block the first hit. But what I think makes Starfire really good are 2 things. This move, this is one of the most insane anti-airs in the game. It beats everything, mainly because she moves backwards as well like that. It has an insane hitbox, and of course, she can go into a full background cancel from it. As far as I know, she's the only character that can do this. So that, again, she has one of the best anti-airs in the game, not to mention her air control. And the trait. This trait is ridiculous. I don't know what the startup on this is. Actually, I can probably check. It's, what, 21? I don't know, but this sure as hell doesn't look like 21 frames. This can basically beat any zoning in the game. Whether it's Dr. Fate, Deathshot, whatever projectile they throw out, this is gonna beat it. It starts up incredibly fast, and ducking it is very difficult unless you make her read and anticipate it. Combined with the fact that she can follow up any of her projectiles with this, yeah, her zoning is actually very dangerous. At the start when she came out, I thought she kind of sucked because a lot of characters beat her in terms of, or seemed to beat her in terms of zoning, but now I've kind of seen her potential. And she's actually very good at beating out most other zoners. The only disadvantage is of course, this is like Supergirl's trait. But still, if you don't hold it, it can actually be very good. And up close, she's decent. Mainly this is good pressure. This is a good pressure tool because you can go into down 1 loop and all of that. You can use it to knock down. And we gotta mention her jumping 3. This thing, aside from Batman's jumping 2, is probably the most ridiculous air move in the game. I don't know who came up with this hitbox. Sometimes it crosses up, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it looks like it would cross up and it doesn't. It's just ridiculous. And I think if Starfire had like better up close options, everyone would say that this character is top tier. And I think she's still very good. I think she beats a lot of zoners in the game. Plus, I gotta mention that this is actually very good at beating Captain Cold's Ice Wall. I've learned this the hard way as a Captain Cold main. Now finally, the last character we're gonna be talking about is Poison Ivy. Now, whereas with the other characters, I'm kind of baffled as to why more people don't use them. With Poison Ivy, I kind of understand. unless you go for just zoning, which this character is fairly capable of just zoning. Her zoning is incredibly annoying. If you go for anything aside from zoning, this is probably one of the most execution heavy characters in the game. She's one of the few characters that can actually go full combo meterlessly, mainly because of this. Again, the only problem is that this requires fairly tight execution for Injustice 2. I mean, nothing in this game is terribly hard in terms of execution, but Poison Ivy is probably one of the highest kind of execution barriers for any character. This mid is insane. It travels a huge distance. She has good walk speed back, so whiff punishing with this is very easy. And she can go into... Oops. This might take me a few tries to nail. Yeah, she can go into, again, full combos. And she can reset and just do the same thing over and over again. If you have meter... Again, I do not understand why people don't see the potential in this character. She's very good at zoning. Want to reiterate that. Once you get this thing out, I think this is called the... I don't even know what this is called. Your opponent is basically forced to hold this for like a good 4 to 5 seconds. I don't even know exactly. It feels like forever when you're on the receiving end of this shit. It feels like she's just chipping you. She's building a ton of meter. And again, you try to get close and you find that her up close options are actually fairly decent. Now, the only thing that lets down Poison Ivy, and of course all these characters that I talked about have disadvantages, haven't really touched on them, but the main thing that holds back Poison Ivy is her wake up. She has very weak wake up game. Pretty much her command grab is the only thing, but this is not fully invincible. It can be interrupted, and it's actually very easy to avoid. So yeah, that's one thing, her wake up, and the other one is of course execution. She has these kind of machine gun strings like Kung Lao did in MKX, and they are key to her offense because, and excuse me, I'm fairly bad at this, but you can launch with this. You can catch people with the command grab, the EX command grab, and if you're quick enough, you actually have time to summon the Mandragora or whatever the thing is called. What is that thing called? Let me just check. Nightshade, and you can go into one of these like machine gunning strings while the Mandragora... I just called it... I don't know. That's from Harry Potter, right? The fucking Mandragora. That's what it looks like, doesn't it? That must be why I'm thinking of it. But you can go into the machine gunning string, and the Nightshade is just shooting. It actually deals a lot of damage, and you still have enough time to... It still stays out after you're done with the combo. Her jump into is also pretty OD. This is just like the Flash. This is just like the Flash's jump to. It hits many times, can be used to break armor, and it has like this weird property. I don't know what, but it actually seems to launch very high. Not many jumps do that. Like, even if your combo seems to be very heavily scaled with gravity, like, do you see how high it launches Swamp Thing? Hers is the only jump I can think of that does that. So yeah, I think this character is overall very good, incredibly underrated. Again, her execution and her wake up let her down, and the fact that she does not have a reliable anti-air. This looks like it would be a good anti-air. It's not, unfortunately. It just has like a very weird hitbox, kind of more of an upward hitbox, so it doesn't stop a lot of things. Also, this is pretty... You can do this from so far away and it will hit. She has a crazy 4-3. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Do you see how high this thing launches? She has a lot of weird kind of mechanics, but she's very strong if you can get past the execution barrier, which is what I'm trying to do. She's very good. And not to mention, she can prevent or reduce damage to herself just like Firestorm can. I think this character has a lot of tools, and again, someone will bust her out and they will bring the pain. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed this episode of Injustice 2, make sure to like this video, follow me on Instagram. It's down in the description. I know I'm gonna be plugging my Instagram because I don't know, I just feel like it. Hope you enjoyed. Again, Stick around for more Injustice, and I'll see all of you next time. Goodbye.